Here is something most men never figure out, not because they lack intelligence, but because the information most of us grew up with about attraction is just fundamentally wrong. It sounds right, it feels safe, and it leads nowhere. So let's talk about what actually works, not theories, actual observations about how women respond to men in real situations. The first thing to understand is the difference between being chosen and being wanted. These are not the same thing. A woman can choose you and still not feel genuinely pulled toward you. Choosing is logical. Wanting is emotional. She can decide you check enough boxes and still feel almost nothing when you walk into a room. Most men are working so hard to be chosen that they miss the real question entirely, whether they are actually being wanted. Being wanted is about how she feels in your presence, not what you provide, not your resume, the feeling itself. Men who understand this shift something in the way they carry themselves, and the difference shows up immediately. The second thing is something a lot of men get completely backwards. They believe that showing emotion consistently is vulnerability, and that vulnerability builds connection. That is partially true. But there is a version of emotional expression that actually works against you. When a man explains his anxiety about the relationship, when he asks if she still likes him, when he needs reassurance every few days, that is not vulnerability. That is emotional dependency. And women feel the weight of that almost instantly. Real vulnerability is being honest about something difficult without needing her to fix it. It is showing depth without making her responsible for your stability. The man who shares something real and then keeps moving forward is magnetic. The man who shares something and waits to be rescued is exhausting. Third, the way you handle her silence tells her everything. Not your words or your big actions, specifically what you do when she goes quiet, when she pulls back, when she takes longer to respond. Most men panic right here. They send extra messages. They ask what is wrong. They start performing, and that performance delivers one message clearly. His emotional state is dependent on her behavior. When she sees that she loses something, some version of respect she did not even know she was extending to you. The man who receives her silence with calm gets something entirely different in return. He does not chase the gap. He fills his own life and lets her come back on her own timeline. That quiet confidence is the kind of thing she keeps thinking about later. Fourth, there is a kind of man who is generous to everyone except himself. He gives his time freely, his energy freely, his attention freely, and after a while, women stop valuing what he offers because there is no sense that it actually costs him anything. Value is partly created by scarcity, not fake scarcity like ignoring someone to seem mysterious. Actual scarcity. A man with real priorities. A man who protects his time because his time genuinely means something to him. When a man like that gives you his afternoon, it lands differently than when a man with nothing pressing gives you his entire week. She is not calculating this consciously. She is just responding to what feels real versus what feels like overflow. Fifth, and this one almost nobody talks about, a man needs to know how to hold tension without rushing to dissolve it. Most men smooth things over the moment any friction shows up. She seems slightly distant. He immediately softens to correct it. She pushes a little. He explains himself to bring things back to comfortable. That rush to resolve tension signals something specific. It signals he cannot tolerate discomfort. And a woman who sees that knows she can control the emotional temperature of the relationship simply by going a little cool. The man who can sit inside some friction without collapsing gives her a completely different experience. He is not withholding. He is not cold. He just does not fold under mild pressure. That kind of steadiness is rare enough that it becomes attractive on its own. The last thing is this. Attraction does not maintain itself automatically. Most men believe the real work ends at some point. They think once she is committed, the energy that created connection can safely be redirected elsewhere. It cannot, not without cost. What she was drawn to in the beginning was a version of you that showed up in a specific way. Engaged, slightly unpredictable, genuinely interested but not desperate. When that energy fades, she does not fall out of love all at once. It happens slowly. She starts feeling more like a function in your life than an active choice you keep making. The fix is never grand gestures. It is the return of the small things. Attention that does not feel automatic. Effort that does not feel obligatory. She needs to feel like you are still choosing her. Not because you have to, because you actually want to. That is the real dynamic. Not rules, not manipulation tactics. Just an honest look at what women actually respond to and why the men who understand it never have to force a thing.